skylarks and swallows. What sort of day have you had today? Have you enjoyed finding out about ladybirds? Now, I know yesterday I read you a book about a ladybird, and today I thought I'd read you one that I've been looking at because it's all about growing things. And it's a brilliant time at the moment because we've had lots of rain and we've had lots of sun. So I know the plants in my garden are growing really, really well. Anyway, this story is called Eddie's Garden and How to Make Things Grow. And the author and illustrator is Sarah Garland. Now, the blurb on the back says, what makes Eddie's garden grow? Earth, rain, warm sun, and all sorts of creatures. Now, do you remember when I read you yesterday, when I read you The Bad-Tempered Ladybird, I said that ladybirds do a really good job for us when we're looking at our gardens because they eat the aphids off of the plants. So that's probably what it means on here about all the creatures, or there's some of the creatures that help with the things that grow in our garden. Anyway, should we read it? Can I have a garden of my own? Said Eddie. OK, said Mum. And me, said Lily. There's Lily. Mum wrote a list and they went to the garden shop. They bought seeds and a bag of earth and some flower pots. Pots for me, said Lily. Now I know I went to the garden centre today and I've got some lavender for my garden. What makes plants grow? Asked Eddie. What makes you grow? Said Mum. Food, said Eddie. Drink for me, said Lily. That's just what plants like, said Mum. Food from the earth, rain to drink, air to breathe, and sun for light and warmth. And that's what we've had, lots of rain at the moment and lots of warm sun. Let's get digging, said Eddie. It was hard work digging up the grass and weeds, but the earth was rich and crumbly and full of worms. Stop that, Lily, cried Mum. Worms are good for the earth, but they're not good to eat. Worms for me, said Lily. She's eating them. Do you remember when we found some worms at forest school and we had them in the wormery and we were watching how they could make little holes, little tunnels in the soil, which is really, really good for the soil. Eddie raked the earth smooth, ready for the pea seeds. Mum showed Eddie how to scratch a line in the earth with a twig and how to put the pea seeds in along the line, one at a time, and carefully cover them up. They collected some long sticks and Mum pushed them into the ground. This can be a hideout for you and Lily, she said. Bean plants will grow right up the sticks and make you a bean den. She dug a hole beside each stick and Eddie dropped a bean into every hole and filled each hole with earth. Eddie watered all the seeds with his watering can. Water me, said Lily. No, don't, said Mum. When Eddie went to bed that night, Mum read him the story, Jack and the Beanstalk. Eddie thought about his bean plants growing up into the sky and how he would be like Jack and climb up the beanstalk higher and higher until he could touch the clouds. Next morning, Eddie wanted to sow some more seeds. Let's put these in pots, said Mum. Then we can look after them more easily. So they collected flower pots, seed trays, yoghurt pots, an oil can, and one old boot and filled them with earth from the bag. Eddie watered the earth until it was soaking wet. Then they chose their seeds sunflowers and marigold seeds, nasturtiums and broccoli, purple chard and sweet corn, and a pumpkin seed for Lily. They put in their seeds carefully and covered them up with earth. "Pumpkin for me," said Lily, and she dug up her pumpkin seed to see whether it had grown. "Put it back, Lily. It doesn't grow that fast," said Eddie. Days passed. The rain rained and the sun shone warm. Every day, Eddie and Lily looked to see whether their seeds had sprouted. At last, a strong green stem pushed out of the earth. It was Lily's pumpkin plant. It straightened up and opened 2 fat leaves. "Like me," said Lily. Soon all of the seeds were sprouting. Eddie worked hard in his garden. He watered the plants when they were dry, and he pulled up the weeds. When Lily's pumpkin plant grew too big for its pot, he showed her how to dig a hole in the garden to plant it in, so its roots could go down deep into the ground. "Hey, Lily, maybe that hole is a bit too big," said Eddie. Can you see? She put herself in the hole. Then he dug a hole for his sunflower plant right in the middle of the garden. As the weeks went by, it grew as high as Eddie, then even higher and higher still, until a fat bud grew at the top, which opened into an enormous yellow sunflower. Now, I've got some sunflowers in my garden. What I'll do is, when I maybe do one of my maths videos, I'll show you my sunflowers. They're not going to be as tall as those, I'm afraid. Grandad came round. He was so surprised he had to sit down. "Wow, Eddie, your garden is amazing," he said. "It certainly is." Can you see the beans then? They walked around the garden together. "Do you know what, Grandad?" said Eddie. "Some caterpillars eat lettuces, but birds eat caterpillars. And some bugs eat leaves and flowers, but ladybirds and hoverflies eat the bugs. And bees make honey from flowers, and we like eating honey." "Worms for me," said Lily. "Well, worms mix the earth up, and that's good for plants," said Grandad. Eddie found a slug. "Oh dear," said Grandad. "Slugs eat up plants in the garden, especially at night." "Uh-oh," said Eddie. So not all insects and creatures you find in the garden are good for the plants. That night, Eddie couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about slugs munching and crunching in his garden. He went downstairs in his pyjamas. "What's up, Eddie?" called Mum. "I'm going on a slug hunt," said Eddie. "Wait for me," said Mum. By torchlight and moonlight, they soon found 16 slugs that were all eating up Eddie's plants. They put them in a bucket for Mum to throw away and went back upstairs. "That was a brilliant idea, Eddie," said Mum as she kissed him good night. Can you see them hunting amongst the plants? The next day was fine and sunny, perfect for a picnic. Eddie, Lily and Mum went out into the garden and picked peas and carrots and lettuces and sweet corn and a big pumpkin. Mum cut the pumpkin up. "We'll keep some of these seeds to grow next year," she said. Eddie rolled out pastry for pumpkin pie. "Peas for me," said Lily. Out in Eddie's garden, birds ate sunflower seeds, bees and butterflies drank nectar from the flowers, and creepy crawlies were busy in the earth. Eddie, Lily, Mum and Grandad ate their picnic. It was the best ever. After the picnic, Eddie and Lily sat in the bean den. "Which do you like best, Lily, worms or beans?" asked Eddie. "Beans for me," said Lily. Fantastic. So all the things they grew in their garden they had for their picnic. Great story, guys. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye bye.